Okay, so I feel like this needs to be addressed today. So let's get into it. So, recently in the Solomon Islands, a 740-foot ship that's 225 meters, I believe, ran aground in one of the world's largest raised coral reef atolls in the South Pacific and is currently listed as a UNESCO, I think it's called, World Heritage Protection Site. So we've got oil spilling in that area. The ship, known as Solomon's Trader, has been leaking oil since the 5th of February. So it's currently the 15th, so it's been about 10 days since the oil spill. It's been spilling roughly 80 tons of oil into the Coral Reef Atoll, with approximately 640 tons left to leak. Kind of a bad thing to happen. In one of my previous videos, I spoke about Equinor wanting to drill oil off the Great Australian Bight. This oil spill could not have come at a perfect time, for me anyway, not so much for the corals, which I will get into shortly. But in my previous video, damages to coastlines affect major ecosystems, cause cascading effects in biodiversity, and overall shut down fisheries. I spoke about Equinor drilling, and this is a prime example as to why we should not allow this to go through. So the oil spill at Solomon Islands may cause irreversible damages on the Coral Reef Atoll. And what I mean by irreversible is that when oil comes into contact with coral polyps or coral in general, it can do one of two things. First being kill the polyps and destroy, the entire coral reef. Second is it can impede reproduction, growth, and development of all the coral species, causing a massive cascade effect along coral environments, meaning there's going to be none. You're not going to see anything. The easiest way for me to explain this is coral bleaching. So with coral bleaching, when surface temperatures rise, corals lose their zooxanthellae. Zooxanthellae are the symbiotic organisms that live on or within the corals, basically giving them their color and allowing for photosynthesis. Now when temperatures get too high, these zooxanthellae will eject themselves from the coral and basically leave behind a white skeleton. So if you see white, just pure white corals, chances are those are bleached and have lost their zooxanthellae. So the toxic effects of oil can occur at sublethal levels as well. What I mean by that is just by certain discharges of oil out into the environment, whether it be through ship maintenance or through discharging into or out of discharge zones, would be a better word, into the marine environment. So the sublethal conditions can cause the second part of what I spoke about, the lack of reproduction, the lack of development and colonization of coral spawning, of polyp spawning corals, or decrease any chances of corals obtaining zooxanthellae a lot easier than those that are not within oil spilt environments or any environment with oil in general. So a few weeks ago, the oil spill was measured at, I believe it was roughly 5 kilometers in length along the UNESCO World Heritage listed site in the Solomon Islands. And Australia was called into action to apply a specialised, or to give out specialized equipment in order to, I guess, mitigate any more damages caused by the Solomon trader. Now the problem I see here is, why was there no action sooner? So this has been occurring since the 5th of February and it's now been 10 days. I'm not quite sure if it's actually been mitigated yet, as there's been no news, except for the fact that we know that it's been spilt. So my question is, why did they not get to the site sooner? We could have prevented a lot of this from happening. Alright, so this is a perfect example of what might happen if Equinor gets the okay to drill off of the Great Australian Bight. The only difference being that the drilling off the Great Australian Bight causing a spill will have a much more drastic scene of events, causing a lot of the southern coastlines to be affected. You see the problem? Although Equinor do say that it is rare for an oil spill to occur, and that they do have plans put in place to prevent oil from spreading along the Bight, it's still not enough to actually say that we can mitigate this oil and stop it from destroying the environment. Just because something is rare doesn't mean it's not going to happen, which is why they've probably put these in place, or these procedures or whatever they're going to do to prevent it from spilling too quickly or too far. So it's still too much of a large risk to be drilling out in the Great Australian Bight. And it's just, this is mainly because the area is known for its rough seas, and if we do get an oil spill or if something happens there, this thing I believe is roughly 200 meters down, and so if they can get something to cap it, there's no saying or proving that the oil did not enter a deep sea current or one of the greater currents that go through there that I spoke about in my previous video. So it's just, there's too many risk factors involved, and in my opinion, I don't think there's any way that they're going to be able to get the okay to drill in the GBA, but the proposition's there, and knowing the government, who knows. Alright, so that's that. That was a quick little video, something that popped up that I saw into the news, so I did a little bit of research, I looked into it, and I thought it would be something nice, well not nice, but something that would be good to follow up on one of my previous videos about drilling in the GBA. And this is a perfect example of an oil spill and what it can do to the environment. So irreversible damages, cascading effects, the lot. If you like that video, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, leave a like and a comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Catch you later.